Hey there, Martin from birdspidersCH here. Welcome back to another episode from Tarantula in the Wild. We're still in Chile, and this time we're going to look for a extremely elusive and rare tarantula species from the southern part of Chile. So actually, for me it's the most beautiful one, and I really hope that we're going to find it. So we'll start our search in this area and yeah, see what happens. In this southern part of Chile, we are in the province of Biobío, and actually we're just above the sea level, so we're around 100 meters here, and it's a huge forested area here and with a lot of pine forest. So this is the habitat these species actually prefers to live in, and that's why we're searching in this specific place. So this species we're going to look for has quite a past actually. There are a lot of scientific taxonomical changes, and it's one of the most wanted species in pet trade actually. So while searching for this species, I'm going to stop from time to time and elaborate further what's about this species and why we are looking for them and what it makes so incredibly beautiful. Awesome, so we just found an adult male of Phrixotrichus vulpinus or Phrixotrichus yara. These two species are known from the southern part of Chile, and Phrixotrichus yara just got recently described in 2014, and we're here at the type locality of this species, but in the very same area the same researchers identified several specimens as Phrixotrichus vulpinus. So because it's the old name and there are a lot of pictures online of Phrixotrichus vulpinus, we go by the name of Phrixotrichus vulpinus and are now going to look for a female, and maybe there are some freshly hatched eggs around, so we can take some pictures of the baby tarantulas. So the males of this species easily belongs to one of the most biggest ones ever. They have a leg span of about 18 to 20 centimeters, which makes them just huge compared to like males from Grammostola species, for example. And now with these close-up shots, I tried to reveal the urticating hair field, but sadly it's on the left and right side of the opistosoma. But what you can see here is the punk-like hairstyle, and of course the extremely brightly colored carapax and legs with its bright hairs. They're just remarkable looking. Also, again, with the look on its opistosoma, the colors are just extremely vibrant, and the fact that it is a extremely docile species makes it very wonderful to work with, and it's just great to take pictures of it. So another close-up shots of its punky hairstyle on the opistosoma. This is not something you are going to find in other Eoatlus species. And of course, they're just greatly looking. Yeah, so when you think about the very first vlog we made in Colombia, we had some nerdy talk with some taxonomic and systematic information regarding the species found. So I would like to continue this and talk shortly or briefly about a few facts that are known of this species here, and the facts you can combine later to your own field of view and think about it for a second. So the species Phrixotrichus vulpinus is known by male and female, but the male specimen, which is the holotype, is extremely damaged, and it's in the museum in Berlin, Germany. So obviously it's quite hard to examine this male specimen, unlike you personally go there and maybe look for significant differences in bulb morphology or tibial apophyse morphology. So it's quite difficult actually. The female, they have some distinctive features like the urticating patches, which are separate, and the spermathecae. But all in all, there are not many specimens in the collection. So at the moment, 4 years ago, there was a research paper who re-established the genus Phrixotrichus by the authors Peravan and Perez-Miles in 2014. They revised the genus, re-established it, and at the same time, in the same paper, they described a new species of this genus, Phrixotrichus. It's named Phrixotrichus yara, and this Phrixotrichus yara is only known from a single male specimen. So they only had one single male to examine, and they found some features which they in the end described as a new species. So what then happened, 1 year later, there was a researcher from Argentina, Nelson Ferretti. He has found also a new species of Phrixotrichus in a university collection and described this as a new species as well. Okay, so we have here another example that this species prefers to live in the direct sun. So they prefer a place where they make their webbing, and in this case, as you can see, there is not even a rock or something, so they just made this webbing right next to this little grass.
So this sort of retreat with built-in egg sac is something I've only seen from Avicularia species in South America, because there is just no protection. This one is actually on a roadside embankment where you can see the female on the right side, and on the left side there is its silk retreat, which is a little bit more protected, but all in all there's just no big protection in sort of a log or rock in front of it. Quite special. Also, we are here at around 1 or 2 p.m. and the female is just sunbathing outside, and this was not the only specimen we found like this. Actually, this species we only found outside of their retreats, so quite amazing. A closer look to this retreat you just saw revealed that there are a lot of spiderlings hatched recently. So this is the spiderling stage of this species of Phrixotrichus vulpinus, and here you can see the 2 dots on the opistosoma, which means that it has 2 separate urticating hair fields. This is what the species really makes it special, and this is the reason why it has its own genus. So the spiderlings look completely different than all the other Eoatlus species.
Awesome. So we just searched the area, and now we found adult females, actually more than one, and also some freshly hatched egg sacs. So we can now show you some close-up shots of the female of Phrixotrichus vulpinus, and luckily also some spiderling footage. So you can clearly see on the spiderlings that they have these 2 distinct urticating hair patches on the abdomen. So that's quite awesome to find. For me, the most beautiful species of Chile, tarantula, and we'll continue our search.
Here you can see an adult female of the species we found. Actually, it's the one who was just on the branch I was holding, and as you can see, she was not that happy. You can see that by the fangs are spread out, so that means that she is in kind of a threat pose and not that happy to get handled, or more likely that we are getting shots of it. But anyway, this specimen actually is one which needs a molt. The carapax itself is extremely dark, as you can see, and we have found several other specimens where there are a lot more hairs, like bright hairs.
So there are a couple of species known in this genus Phrixotrichus, but almost all of them are not really known how they look like. So there is the Phrixotrichus vulpinus, then there is Phrixotrichus vulpinus ater, which is a subspecies from this species, which is not usual to have in the tarantula systematics. And there is Phrixotrichus yara, which got described in 2014. And there is Phrixotrichus scrofa, which got transferred in the very same paper and year in 2014 by the researchers Perafan and Perez Miles. And actually there is another species from this genus from far south in Argentina, described in 2015 by Nelson Ferretti. This is all we have, and the definition of the genus itself is that it has two separate urticating hair patches on the opistosoma. That means there should be two fields of urticating hair on the abdomen of the spider. So that's the genus definition. Every spider who has that in Chile and Argentina should go in this genus. Of course, there is some bulb morphology and spermatheca morphology, but it does not really differ from Euatlus. So all in all, it's a huge mess. There are so many species here in Chile, and there's simply not that much known about them. So at the moment, they are in this genus, but who knows what happens in the future. Maybe it got a revision and they get some new genus, or they get placed within the very same genus Euatlus, like almost all other species. Because when you think about these urticating hair patches, which are separate on the abdomen, it's quite a distinctive feature. But when you go a little bit up north to Mexico, there is a genus called Hemiragus, and there are so many species in this genus. I know there should be around 50 or 60, with a lot of undescribed ones still. And Jorge Mendoza is working on this genus specifically, and there are a lot of cave-dwelling tarantulas in this genus. And some of them do have two urticating hair patches, and some species don't, but they still are in the very same genus. So when you combine this knowledge and think about the spiders we have here in Chile, not sure if it's enough to make a different genus for them. So now we have found male and female, and that's why we try to mate them, as we did with the Gramostela rosea. So we'll see if it goes wrong, or hopefully they mate and we can document it here in the nature.
So we put both specimens together, and shortly after, the male started drumming, and this was as expected, of course. The female is already ready for action, as you can see, and every sign of it looked quite great. So we got some pictures, of course. That's what you see in the background with the flashes. And anyway, both specimens you can now really greatly enjoy and see clearly the special haircut they have on the opistosoma. Now in the male, which is on the upper part of the image, you can clearly see this punk haircut he has on the opistosoma, and of course the extremely hairy legs, which resembles a fox-like appearance. This is possibly the fact that this species is called vulpinus, because the male specimens do look like a fox. So quite amazing. All in all, this species is extremely docile. Like, these are getting quite big. much bigger than Grammostola rosea, for example, and with the hairy appearance, with the bright hairs on the legs, it looks even bigger, and therefore it would be quite a great tarantula for the pet hobby. But the fact that they got exported about 10 years ago for the last time means that no one was ever successful in breeding them. And I actually have some information from a friend from Canada, which is Martin from Tarantula Canada store. He has in the past imported quite a few specimens of this species, along with several other arachnids from Chile. And sadly, none of the specimens from this species, Phrixotrichus vulpinus, survived for a longer period. Also, another friend of mine in Switzerland had a adult pair, which means adult female and male, of the species, and he was able to mate them, such as you can see in this video now. But sadly, both of them just died a few months later, and no one really knows what it is that the species really needs to survive. So the best would most likely be just leave them alone in the nature. In Chile there are a lot of protected forest reserves where there is at the moment no threat for deforestation. So this is a great sign for the species that we don't have to fear that they die out in the nature, even though we're not able to care for them in the pet tarantula hobby.
Awesome, so the mating was successful, and the male is still okay, doing great. And yeah, few notes. The fact that it's the same area of the Phrixotrichus yara and Phrixotrichus vulpinus is a bit confusing. So maybe in the future we're seeing a paper published about the Phrixotrichus yara, where the female got described, and not only based on a single male species and not only based on a single male specimen. So we'll see where it goes. Hopefully there will be another revision soon of these Chilean tarantula spiders, and in the meanwhile we're going to look for other species of tarantulas here in Chile, more in the southern part, and then we'll try to continue up north. Yeah, that was it from today's episode. I'm really happy to have found this species. It's amazing to see. We not only have found just a single female, but we have also found male specimen and spiderlings, so we could have documented the whole all the life stages of this species, and we're also successful in mating them. So yeah, could not have been better. So we'll continue our search, and see you then next week.